Welcome, everybody, to Thursday Conversations with As If by Magic. My name is Cassy Summers, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. Make sure I have my comments up here. Please feel free to engage. If you guys have questions, you can pop them in the thread, and I am happy to actually really love engaging with you guys and crafting these Facebook Lives a little bit upon your request. Hello, nice to see you. So today I'm drinking out of a Dr. Seuss cup. Today what I really wanted to talk about is receiving from magical creatures. I have a little story about this that I'm going to share. And I know for some people, before I get into my story, I'm going to tell a story. A pre-story story. Here it comes. So when I was younger, I always had this sense of magic. Like when I was out in the backyard in the summer, I never felt alone. I always sensed that there was like beings there and that kind of thing. And I remember reading, like fairy stories though, like fairy tales, stories about fairies and leprechauns, and there was always something kind of like, it felt very pretendy to me and very not real and kind of fake. And then I would talk to people that suddenly they're like, oh, they believe in magic. And I would talk to even adults and stuff. And I'm like, oh, it didn't really ring true to me that they actually were aware of anything, but they were also, it seemed like they were pretending. And I was kind of bummed out, really. So as I enter access consciousness and I start to access my consciousness and do the talk to the entities work and see what's true for me and engaging with these disembodied beings, these embodied beings in a different way, different, realities and worlds and such, I started to get a greater sense of what I knew as a kid, and a greater communion and connection with these magical creatures is the best way for me to call it, that doesn't define it into something, and which can bring up all of the implants, right? So even hi Leonie. Let's take leprechaun for example. So we see pictures of like a short little stout man. Maybe he's got like a big pot belly and buckles on his shoes and always facial hair. Super cute, love it. But there was always something that I was like, I don't know if they all look that way, And I was watching a show the other night called American Gods. I highly recommend it. It's really amazing. And there's this, like, he's probably 6'4" Irish man that's playing this leprechaun. And he's like really like just kind of, he's really badass and manly, and like I love him so much. And I can't stop cracking up every time he's on American Gods. Yes, Marina, right? And I'm like, this resonates with me as to what, if I were to meet a leprechaun, and I actually did meet a leprechaun when I was in Dublin, but that's a story for another time. I'm like, I get that this would be the kind of leprechaun I would go hang out with. So what do you guys know beyond the fairy tales, beyond the books, beyond the stories that you've heard about fairies, the fae people, leprechauns, dwarves, elves, and everything that we don't even have words with, and all the cultural magical creatures that you've never been told that you could acknowledge as true for you? So anything does a lot of that. Let's destroy and create it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts of boys and beyond. So that is the Access Conscious Clearing Statement. If any of you are new to the show, we use the Access Conscious Clearing Statement to clear out energies. It's our magic tool, and it comes from Access Consciousness, which everything is by magic kind of leaps off of that platform. Hi, Marisol. So if you want more information, please go to theclearingstatement.com, and there's a whole video on the clearing statement and how it all works, but we're not going to go into that today. Marina says, read the book first, and the series is wonderful. There's a book about it? Well, now I'm even more excited. Okay, I'm going to check that out. Okay, so now let's go into the real story I was going to tell you. Now that we're all here and we're all listening, we're all excited. I've probably talked about this before. I often put videos on my Instagram about this creek that's right by my house. I love this creek. I've done midnight Facebook Lives there, and it's really interesting, the magic and the presence there. So I go down this creek often and I talk to the earth, the water, the trees, and I'm also talking to the magical creatures. Now, I live in Canada, so you may think that leprechauns only live in Ireland, but they don't. But this isn't about leprechauns. This is about all magical creatures. And so I was walking along, and I just sensed this presence to the side, and I stopped, and I could really perceive this being. And the being was wanting to engage with me. I could almost get a sense of like the height, that it was male, like so much about it. And I was frustrated because I couldn't see it with my actual physical eyes. I could perceive it, I could sense its energy, I could get all these indications of the physicality of it. But I was like, I want to see it. And I have seen pretty crazy, awesome things with my own sight before, but there was some kind of something that something that wasn't allowing me to see it. So I started to just use that magical cleansing we talked about. I love how you said it, Maruna. Wandless magic. Yeah. So I'm clearing. I'm like, well, what did I choose that's blocking this, or what did I create, or what, asking these questions and I, chatted, left, and walked home. And then I was asking, like, what would it take? What would it take for me to see with my eye the things that I perceive that are beyond this reality, that are so magical? So then I forgot about that question and I moved on, and I went and took a video, and I actually set the camera shutter to like slow motion, and I took this cool video of the creek and just kind of went like this and then went over and then came back down. Now, those that are in the As If by Magic membership have already seen this, so you guys know what I'm talking about. Something showed up on that video, and then I'm going to define it, but it was undeniable to me that it was capturing a creature that I was not able to see with my eye. But was not is a hint right here, is because after I had that awareness of it, I now know more of what to ask for so that I could physically actualize the sight of such creatures and magic. And okay, so what we're actually talking about is receiving. So anything that doesn't allow you to have all of that if you would like it, let's just try and include it. Right and wrong, good and bad, back and pod, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Oh, Lanny says, oh, I love this question. The whole topic, actually. I stuff coming up for you too lately. Yeah. So just a lot of you already here know, but anyone in the future, Access Consciousness has a ton of body processes as well as all this verbal processing magic. And that's like can unlock and open a lot of stuff with your body. So just throwing that out there, recommendations. So what I realized after, and I hadn't even noticed this little creature until I got home and watched the video, and I was like, wow, and just really had to acknowledge that it was my request of those little creatures, that it showed up. And as I can see clearly on the video, it was like there for me. It was there to like show me something that I was asking for. And he really received it. And I was so grateful. And so every time I walked by that bridge, I would stop for a minute and just say hi to all those little creatures and just, be in gratitude and play and engage with them. So then weeks later, I'm walking along. The story might get long. I apologize. But if you're willing, as I go along with this story, will you tap into the energies that I'm presenting? Will you tap into the possibilities? And would you be willing to recall the interactions that you've had with magical creatures that possibly you didn't acknowledge, or you didn't fully acknowledge, or you didn't receive from? Okay, cool. So I'm walking along this beautiful creek as per usual, and I see this fallen tree branch, okay? And it is just gorgeous. I wish I would have brought it up here. I don't even know if this would capture it, the magic of it. And it had life. It just was such an incredible piece of art, really. And it was like, bring me home. Like, this is the the branch talking to me. Your brain goes like, what would I do with you? Like, where would you go? I'm gonna have a tree branch in my house. Okay. It was really light though, and I really got that there was some massive contribution that this tree branch was going to be for me. So I walked home, and I'm carrying this, like, it's giant, and it like curls up, and it's got, and it comes out with these two branches from this core, like twisty, almost like a knot thing. Oh, so good. And people were just like, some people just stared. Some people were like, wow, look at your treasure. And I'm like, yes, I know. So as I was walking towards the bridge where these little creatures had been, I could perceive their excitement that I had found this. And so I asked the question, is this a gift from you guys? My whole body started to buzz and vibrate, and there was all this like motion and energy around me. The joy of me receiving their gift was changing my whole reality, but also changing their reality. There was this huge contribution going on, this huge gifting and receiving. And I was so in awe that these creatures would even desire to gift me this magical tree branch, for no reason, right? Because often when we get gifts from people, there's some kind of reason, or there's something attached to it. So it could be like, you get a gift because it's your birthday or it's Christmas. You get a gift because you worked hard for something, and you're going to get like a bonus from your employer or something like that, right? Or people gift you something with like a debt attached to it. Like, oh, I'm going to give this to you, and then when I need a favor, I'm going to ask you for a favor. But there was nothing. It was just a gift. And it was so interesting to fully receive it, and to receive it the whole time I walked home. And then it's been sitting, it's just kind of, actually, it stands on that knotted thing I was talking about. It stands so wonderfully. So it's just kind of like arching over my window right now, over my, like, where my dining room table is. And I see it every day. I talk to it, I touch it, and I just hang out with it. And I can't explain to you what it's contributing to me, but every time I engage with it, interact with it, I have a sense of something different with my body and my world. Now, you might think that the story is going to end, but it's actually not going to end, because last night the story continued. So I'm telling one of my good friends about this whole thing, and was showing her a video of the branch, and just kind of talking about it, and acknowledging it and the gift that it is. Okay. Then after I get off chatting with her, I took a moment to again acknowledge these creatures. Even from now, I'm at home, I'm not at the creek, I'm not near them, but energetically we're all connected. And so I connected with them, and I was like, thank you so much. I from the space of like, I don't know if I'll ever cognitively understand all that I received, but I'm so grateful. So then I go and I'm doing some grocery shopping for the week, and I'm going to show you my new baby. And so once you start to engage with particular creatures, you will get a sense of their vibration. Okay. It's similar to, okay, so say you had an animal, you have a dog, okay? And you've had it for a long time. You know your dog, you sense it, you know its behaviors. And say that that breed, let's pick a border collie, okay, is suddenly with like 30 other border collies. Now, of course it's going to look different. You can do a mental thing about why you would know which one your dog is, but you would know which one your dog is, even if they all look the same, because it has a different vibration. And you become acquainted with that vibration. And that's the same with magical creatures. If you're willing to engage, if you're willing to converse and converge and receive. So I have this with different creatures that I know from different times. And I was in the store and I suddenly sensed like almost like coming up behind my back, like whooshing, like the vibration of these creatures that were at the creek that I was talking to earlier that day. And they pulled me over to this like rack of house plants. And I'm not really looking for house plants right now. I don't really require any more house plants right now. And I was like, oh, these are cute. And like, oh yeah, I would actually that pot is kind of similar to what I would choose. No, and so I went to walk by, and then my hand just kind of reached out and touched one of them, and my whole body went whoosh, like this, as though I was altered from just even touching it. And I was like, what is this? So I put all my stuff down and I stop and I'm like, I'm going to fully engage with what's going on here. How often do we not fully engage with the magic that's occurring because we're too busy or we're trying to get something done or we have a time constraint? Everything that is, let's just right, right, wrong, get back talking about all name shorts, boys, neons. What if you're never too busy to engage with magic? What if you made that demand? Because what you make as a priority in your life becomes more of what you have in your life. So if magic is a priority in your life, then you'll have more magic in your life. So this is my new baby. He goes up there. And so when I, like even now, and it's interesting. So when I touch up here, and I touch here, I touch down here, it's all different. It's very, very unique vibration. And it has like this total sense of a whole universe. Exactly, Leonie, exactly, like a whole universe in this little pot that was on sale, by the way, because they made it real cheap for me. And there was another plant there that was pretty, and I carried it around, and I was like, oh, it's cool, but it is pretty, but it's not coming home with me. Because this, yeah, forced in a pot. So this forced in a pot, this universe is, it's like exuding contribution, like gifting and receiving. My body is different when I'm closer to it, when I'm holding it, when I'm touching with it, when I'm engaging with it. And I love that you guys can perceive it too through this camera. And I asked again, is this a gift from those magical creatures? And I got such a clear yes, like such a dynamic, undeniable yes. And I was like, wow, if I can receive this, like what else is possible for me to receive that I've never acknowledged, I've never been willing. Yeah, Lenny says I'm receiving from it too. Oh, good. I was hoping that it would. It's very generous. And Sherry says it speaks so loud. Yeah. And it's funny because there was like 4 or 5 of the exact same plant in the exact same pot. And I picked up every single one of them. And none of them were like this one. So what can you all, and this is where I wanted to get to today, what can all of you receive from the magical creatures that are excited to play with you? There is a gold energy to it. That's so true. And I was thinking about my leprechaun. So after I picked up this little magical thing, what was so fun is that I was like picking out my, my vegetables and my fruits, and I could sense like this fluttering. Like I'd be like, okay, I'm like, okay, like peppers. And they would almost like they were helping me pick out vegetables and fruit. And it was the most fun I've ever had. I don't really have a ton of fun shopping for groceries. I'm gonna be honest. But it was the most fun I had ever had because it was like what like perceiving them. Yeah. Oh, Sherry says the energy is similar to how access classes call you. Cool. Yeah. Um, and there were like so there was like even these apples, and I was like, oh well, well, what about these ones, like they're on sale, I've had them before, they're good. And it was like, whoa, that's weirdly heavy. And they were like dancing over here. I'm like, oh, I never get those apples, but it was so light. And I'm like, okay, let's grab these apples, let's get this. And like just really like playing with it, and them showing me the magic of that they're aware of with these particular vegetables and these particular fruits. And so it had the sense of that I was receiving even as I was purchasing just the vegetables that I get every week. But there this engagement and this play, and the joy of it was incredible and so valuable. So yeah, oh yeah, see, changes when you move it around. Like having a body process run. So what can all of you receive from magical creatures that you've never acknowledged? And would you be willing to start to engage with them in a different way every day if that's fun for you? And yeah, really amp up your receiving, because it is a gift to be received. And I truly get that sense of contribution with these little guys. And I don't know what gift I'm being to them. I can't cognitize it, but I sense it. I truly sense it. And then I was like, oh my God, like what? So really asking him, like, what else can you do? What else can you show me? What else? What else? And it was like, oh my God, you want to know more? And just so much joy and so much excitement about the possibilities of what I'm going to be creating with these creatures. Um, there's some future stuff I'm already aware of, and I won't go into that too much, but I would love for you guys to have more, if you like, more of this in your life. So one thing you could even ask is, where are the places um, in the earth, of the earth around you right now, like you currently, wherever you live, even if you live in a city, okay? And start to ask, where are the magical creatures that would be a contribution to you that you can go and engage with? And then just go take a little walk and go hang out wherever it is. And then ask them to show themselves. Hey, will you come engage with me? Will you come have a chat? Will you come play? Yeah. And then you are in communion. We are never separate, even if well, even here, like there's no separation, right? So we're never separate from each other, and you can engage with them at any time and play with them and receive from them and gift them. Yeah, and it says, what contributes for someone to finally be willing to receive from them? Exactly. Yeah. And Sherry says, the acknowledgement you give them back to the acknowledgement you give them, they give back to you. Yeah. Beautifully said. So that's a little challenge for you guys, a little home play, is to actually go and ask to find some magical creatures. You probably have some around you that maybe you engage with or maybe you haven't been engaging with. So play with those too. Ask to perceive them, ask to engage with them, and have those chats. But also, I would love to hear of some of you actually going out and discovering new magical creatures, like meeting new friends. And even if it shows up in a forest in a pot. and invite them into your life. And what if you're willing to uncontrollably receive from them? And I say uncontrollably because that is really the only way to receive magic. You can't control magic. You unmagitize it. Magitize it? Magnetize it? Magitize it. Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. Thank you, everyone. I hope that these magical creatures were a contribution to you. And if you do meet some new friends, I would love to hear about it. Whether you reach out to me privately or you post on this page, anywhere, I would really love to hear about it and hear what pleasure and what joy and what gift receiving from magical creatures is for you. Oh, Leonie says, there is a magical creature around me that I commune with lately, and it's my body. Yeah. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Marisol. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Maruna. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I adore you so much. Have a great, beautiful, wonderful day, and we'll see you next Thursday. Bye for now.